She's a defender of donuts. 3 meals are faster than none. She'll make it all good in your neighborhood. She'll make sure we have loads of fun. Who will help Lily? Who will catch Billy? It's Trixie the Tricycle Trooper.
Hi Flosstube, my name's Jody and I'm Trixie Tricycle here on YouTube and also on Instagram. And it's been forever since I have made a video, so I feel like I should probably just introduce myself all over again. So I live in the Pacific Northwest and I started making Flosstube videos just over a year ago. So we just passed with sort of no fanfare my Flosstube anniversary. For those of you who are coming back because you're subscribed and you've been watching my videos for the last year, thank you. If you're new, hello. My YouTube name, it comes from a character in little children's stories that my dad used to write and make up for us when we were kids. And if you go back into some of my earlier videos, I talk about that a little bit, but that's what the intro is about. All of the artwork and the intros are just screenshots of my dad's comic strips that he used to send us when he would travel for work. And Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery was kind enough to surprise me out of the blue very early on in my Flosstube existence and sent me a theme song, and so that's what I use. And I apparently have forgotten completely how to do Flosstube videos, so what I'm gonna do is just go right into it. Since the last time I had chatted with you, I had the opportunity to go to Toronto, just outside of Toronto, to Brampton, and I attended my first cross-stitch retreat, and that was called Stitch North. It was hosted by the inimitable Caroline from Evertote. She's Off the Grid Needle Arts on Instagram and on YouTube and has a cross-stitch shop called Evertote. And she and her staff were amazing and put on a really spectacular event. It was so much fun. I have been really reluctant to travel under the sort of global circumstances. And to do international travel had its own complications, and I think that's probably getting a little easier, but I was highly motivated to go and meet some of my stitchy friends in person, and it was well worth the trip. I think there are some other Flosstubers who've done a really good job of reviewing the event itself and the vendors that were there and talking about just some of the details. I just want to say to Caroline and to her staff, to Matt and Hannah and to her husband John and to everybody else that she had working with her, and to Carrie from Leo and Roxy. You guys did an incredible job. It was so much fun. I cannot wait to go back next year. If you are interested in attending, I would encourage you to go and look on their website, sign up for their newsletter, and see if there are any spots still available. I know that got sold out relatively quickly, but I think that there may still be some spots. There are going to be 2 weekends in 2023. So if you're at all interested in going and meeting up with stitchers in person, especially if you're in Canada or anywhere really, we had lots of people from the US that traveled and it was worth it. I would encourage you to go. But so for anybody who came up and said hello, I just wanted to say thank you. It was so nice to meet people in person, and those of you who have made comments or who haven't made comments but just came up and said hi and hey, I watch your videos and I like your dog, and it was just really fun to meet people in person. I wasn't expecting that at all, and I think it catches you a little off guard when there are people who have watched you, and so they know a little bit about you, and they, you're familiar with me and I haven't met you before. And so it's like catching up with people, and it's really fun. And I just wanted to say thank you. And so I am going to StitchCon in Cincinnati coming up here in June, and I'm going to be going to Weekend A. And so I am really looking forward to meeting more people. I think Stitch North was a great size because it's a little bit smaller, and so I'm just looking forward to meeting people in person. Again, it's been a very long time since I think any of us were in big settings where we're around lots and lots of people. And so, you know, when you think about the Venn diagram of cross stitchers and introverts, it's pretty much a perfect circle. So I think for a lot of people, it was an exercise to just be around people for that duration of time. But it was so nice to just sit and look around and to realize that you're in the company of people who love something that's really unique, and that you know, we could just kind of hang out and stitch. And so the table that I was at, there, to go around to my right, let's start left. Doesn't matter. Gwyneth was there, curling stones and cross stitches. And then Nikki the Canuck, who I hadn't met before, but I mean, I hadn't met anybody in person before, but I hadn't really chatted with her on Instagram, who was fantastic. And then Ryan was there, and Ellen Reed. And then we were joined by Yvonne, and she is on Instagram. I'm going to include her name over here. I still don't know which side. She is from Arizona and arrived a little later on Friday afternoon. And so she sat with us, and it was really nice to meet her and to see her beautiful stitching. She does a lot of ink circles, and so got to meet a brand new friend, which was, you know, that was really fun to have her at our table and to be able to sort of chat with her. And everybody else, it just, you know, again, I'm not going to belabor it, but it was just really, it was very fun to sort of sit and just talk or not talk. Anyway. Okay. So, a lot of you ask questions. I'm going to just go, I want to answer just before I move on, otherwise I'll forget. A lot of you asked questions last time about my background. And my background last time was a large, was actually a large piece of fabric with Alan Rickman's face. And in character as Dr. Lazarus from Galaxy Quest, that movie, Galaxy Quest. And I didn't say anything about it, I just had it there. It's a panel that my husband bought to use, or potentially use, in our downstairs, kind of where our TV is, to use as a cover for a sound dampener for an audio system. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but that's what it was. And there are a couple of other fabric panels about the same size but different designs. But that one, I'm like, I wonder what that would look like behind me. It would look pretty great. But he is one of my favorite. I love Alan Rickman, and I miss him. And when you go back and watch some of the interviews with him, you know, coincidentally, I think, but close to the end of his life, he just really, I watched an interesting interview with him, and I thought it was kind of salient for around, you know, getting back around people and going to retreats. But before, you know, he passed away before the pandemic was here. And so at the time, someone had asked about streaming, about how he felt about movies being, you know, streamed at home, or kind of the change taking, you know, people out of movie theaters or taking people out of actual theater, you know, live theater. And he talked about how he thinks that thought that there was something very powerful about sitting in a group with strangers, whoever, but sitting in a group and watching something and all experiencing it around the same time, and that kind of quiet that comes across a crowd. And he said that as a performer, especially on the stage, he knew he was doing a good job if it got really, really quiet. And he didn't say it with any kind of, I'm the greatest, you know, anything like that. He was a very humble but incredibly talented person. But I thought that that was a, and he took it a little further and was talking about how he really hoped that we wouldn't get so insulated within our homes that we would miss out on that opportunity to experience something in a room with other people, even people we don't know, and what that does for people on their insides. And I thought about that, and I was like, you know, I think that's something we're all going to kind of have to learn a little bit as we move forward, at least for me, at least for somebody who has a tendency to be very comfortable at home. But getting around other people and really seeing and laughing and just feeling the energy of people who have a common interest or who are very different than you is powerful. And I think that it's something that I personally need to work on. So anyway, Alan Rickman, that's why. And I'm 15 minutes into my video and I haven't even talked about any stitching yet. So I'm going to talk about stitching. So I'm just going to go through, I'm going to show you everything that I touched. It's a lot. So we'll start with finishes. I have a couple. Some of them I have to put video or photos in because they are things that I gave away. Then we'll do whips, and then I'll go into starts. And there are a lot of starts. So, all right. So to begin with, I started doing a couple of like little baby things because I was considering like, what do I want to, I participated in the Smalls Exchange at Stitch North. And so I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And so early in the year I had started stitching small things. And so this is one of them. There is a, this came from Old Colonial. This is a Needlecase, and it's, I guess it was part of maybe a celebration. I don't know what this was, if it was an event, if it was a retreat, or what it was. But it did come from the Old Colonial, which they don't really have an online presence. I think that some of their products are in certain online stores, but I know they do trunk shows on YouTube. Complex to try and look them up, but that's where I got that little kit. And I used my own fabric, but I've been sort of practicing too, using like stitching in hand or trying to. And so I made this little tiny, it's essentially the start of a needle case, and it is a, there we go, little fruit bowl, teeny tiny. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. The pattern called for little tiny eyelets, which I tried making. And they just didn't look quite right on this fabric. So, you know, sometimes you make things and you don't really do anything with them, but they're cute and it's fruity and it has pineapples in it, which, you know, I mean, how could you, look at that pineapple. Look how cute it is. Let's look at it again. Come on, camera. Don't you want to look at it? Sure you do. There it is. Pineapple. So the exchange, I actually ended up making a needle book, but I just used a different pattern. And I used just one motif from this chart. So this is a Reflets de Soie and Emma Ponquon. Nailed it. Didn't. And I used this little tiny pansy on this side. and put that as the front of this needlebook. So I'll show you some photos. I'll insert those here. I stitched it on, I think it was on 36 count. Was it 36 count? Just a cream linen. And then the letter, I believe, I just put the Stitch North SN 2022 came from the lettering on this. So what I received in the exchange was from Kathy, and she's on Instagram. I'm going to put her Instagram name right here. Incredible, gorgeous stitching. This is, so this is what I got. This amazing little Stitch North 2022. Look at this beautiful little pillow. She made the pins. This William Morris fabric on the back with the beautiful little lace, and she put a pair of scissors in there. Had a little butterfly charm. Isn't that just... Anyway, the reason, so, you know, you go up and what they did is had each table, if you participated in the smalls exchange, you would go up and you'd take one depending on what table number you were at and what number got called. And so when it was our turn to go up, there was a little brown bag that had a library card on it with these stickers. And I thought, okay, anything that's got a library card on it's probably going to be. So this is what got my attention, and then that's what was inside. And so it is from Blackbird Designs. It's from the Our Lasting Friendship chart. And she said that it's 36 count, and it was with the called for floss. So she included a little card with the details about what it was stitched on. So anyway, I couldn't stop looking at it. It's just, oh my gosh. So anyway. I also, because when I traveled, it was Gwyneth's birthday, and so I made her a little needlebook also, and I used this book, GH 1857, which is new. This, I guess, was released right around the time, maybe a couple weeks before we left, and so this had been, I'd just gotten this, and I actually made this needlebook right here. And then just stitched her initial on the back, so I'll include a photo of that. And I also, next to the photo, I also made, I just was playing around a little bit and watched a tutorial on how to make a petal pin cushion. And I had received some hand-dyed, like sort of a silk rayon combo velvet. And so I made that. Velvet's really touchy to work with. If I do any more of these, maybe I'll talk about it in a later video, but that's essentially what that was. So I did machine stitch it around, turned it inside out, stuffed it, whip stitched the edge, and then used DMC roll of pearl cotton to make the individual petals, and just ran them through a couple of antique buttons. So another finish that I had, I had shown this on my last video. The chart is La-Di-Da, it's Yellowbird. And this was my first attempt at stitching in hand. The called for floss is this Gloriana Florimell, and it's a variegated this isn't showing very nicely, especially because I'm wearing a bright yellow sweater, but it is a really pretty variegation, and this is called Birch Brown. And if you've watched Ellen, you know that sometimes she'll stitch a bird and then she'll put some irreverent or sort of, what's the word, existential quote on it. And I kind of shamelessly appropriated her idea and started putting movie quotes. And so one of them's behind me up here, and it's a little baby bird, and it's got a quote from Aliens. This one, I decided I needed a really short, recognizable to me movie quote because there's space. Essentially, it needed to go in the space where Lori's initials, where the designer of La Di Da's initials went. And so the only thing I had room for comes from a movie that my family absolutely loved when I was growing up, and we quote it all the time still, and it's from the 80s. It's a movie called Overboard with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. And so Dad, this one is for you, and Mom. And yes, that says Roy. So if you've seen that movie, you know. Anyway, I needed to put this in a frame, but again, this was my first attempt at any kind of stitching in hand, and it was nice because it was just sort of a relatively easy pattern. Sort of repetitive, and it was also just one color, one single floss. So anyway, it came out kind of funny. I liked it. It's a cute little chart. So the next one, and this is one that I had been working on for a while, and I'm just realizing that I don't have a photo of the chart because I was working off of a PDF, and I don't have the cover printout. But let's take a look. So what I've got it on is it's a poster hanger. So they're the top and bottom. This is not how it's going to be completed, but I wanted to show you the little apparatus that it will be finished into. I'm going to follow Susan Stanley's hem stitch tutorial. So this piece is going to get hem stitched, and then I'm actually going to probably put a muslin fabric backing on it because this is the 36 count cream and the weave is a little bit open, and so I'm afraid that if it's hanging up, you'll be able to see through it if there isn't something backing it. But this is by Modern Folk Embroidery, and this is called the Hound and the Hare. And this was stitched again on 36 count cream linen with Schoolhouse Red by the Gentle Art. So that is a finish. It's not fully finished again, but this is just if you can see, oh, there's the back, yikes. It's just a magnetic piece. There are two pieces of teak that sort of snap together, and then at the top it's got a little connector, a little hanger that you can pop on there. And so it just keeps the bottom edge weighted, and I thought that would be a fun way to display a hem stitch piece. Spit it out. So this chart, I believe, was a fundraising chart. It's still available on his site, modernfolkembroidery.com. He has a friend who was involved with Greyhound Rescue, and a portion of the proceeds of this chart went to that charity. This was very fun to stitch, and it's just one strand over 2 threads. Jacob does a very good job with these geometric patterns, these sort of interlaced knots, and I just love it. I think it's beautiful. It's very Scandinavian, and so that'll go up soon. So hopefully by the next video I'll have this one hem stitched and backed and ready to actually hang. So stay tuned, we'll see. So that's all the finishes that I have. Without further ado, I'm going to go right into whips. Nikki Noodles. And I decided that we each had some Mirabilia charts that we wanted to get going on. This one I've had completely kitted up with all of the beads and floss and had fabric chosen, and so she's doing a different chart, but she's also stitching a Mirabilia, and so I am working on the Raven Queen by Nora Corbett. Because I have so many pieces today, there are a few that I'm going to pull the floss out to show you, but not every single one of them, because otherwise it will just be a catastrophe. I'm going to probably have to pause anyway and move a whole bunch of things because I've got too many pieces. So this is on a piece of 32 count Lunar is the color. Linen by Bestitch Me, and I'm using the called for floss, including the little Krynic and Treasure Braid and the little metallics in there. So I believe that since the last time I showed you this, I've gotten a little further, but this may have been where I was the last time you saw it. So if that's the case, again, we're just kind of, maybe we'll just make this sort of like a partial whip parade. Start it all over again. Hi, my name's Jody. I have a Flosstube video. The next one, this is by Whilst Iris Naps, and this is her Black Sampler 2021 chart. So Jacob, again from Modern Folk Embroidery, started a hashtag, and a few designers produced charts specifically for last November, where the theme was just to stitch any sampler, but just exclusively using black thread, or with the impression that it's black thread. So I had started that and just got a little bit more progress. This is on a piece of Weeks Beige. Hello, can you see? So Christina is Christina is a genius with color. This looks very monochromatic with just a little bit of texture variation, but it actually uses, and each of those are represented here, it uses 5 colors? 6. So it's this combination, and it's just really, really pretty. So there's some dark greens, kind of a gray green, the little pop of cream in the center of those flowers, and then mascara is the black. So anyway, that one's nice. It's fun for kind of a portable little piece, because you can just pop it in a little tiny frame, take it with you. Or stitch in hand, although with this one I'm having difficulty. I don't think I'll do this one in hand because of how loose this particular fabric is. I like it, it's not terrible, but it's just really, it's a very open weave. Okay. In a moment. You won't be able to see me anymore because the stack's gonna be like... Alright, the next one, and I will pull this one out so that you can see the image. This is by Shakespeare's Peddler, who is Kitten Stitcher. Their shop is Kitten Stitcher. It's Teresa Vanette. Reproduced this sampler. It's called the Spanish Mystery Sampler. And it is very beautiful and very big. So good luck us if we can actually pull this off. All right. So this is where I am so far. This is a 46 count fabric. And I just think it's so gorgeous. I love the lettering. I love the combination of colors. And then this is how far across it goes. I think I measured it. It's like, it's over 2 feet wide and on a 46 count. And so, but isn't the fabric beautiful? It's this very soft model, and it's stand by. So Nisi Lynn, if you guys watch Nisi Lynn, you probably know. If you don't watch her, you need to go watch her. She's so great, and I love her so much, and she really should have her own stand-up show. But she started keeping her fabric annotated on her project bag where she was keeping her project, and so she would have the name of the project, and on the back side she would put the fabric, and I'm like, how brilliant is that? So yeah, I'm gonna copy that. So Nisi Lynn, here's my little homage to you. So this is 46 count light nougat by XQ Design, and that is the Spanish mystery sampler, and this is a little project bag I made that has flowers on it. So I love this. What you'll find as we go through, I'm realizing that almost everything that I am working on and have started is huge. Every project it's huge. I don't think I started anything small. It's either medium, huge, or the hugest. So that's gonna be all right. Next work in progress is by Hands Across the Sea. Lots and lots of people are stitching this. And this is the Rose and the Giant Hare. And it's a very manageable size, but I just haven't gotten very far. This is on 46 count light nougat, the same fabric that I am stitching the Spanish mystery sampler on. And I also adjusted the floss colors. I'm still using silk, but I used a conversion using the silk that I already had on hand after finishing my G Leger project, and so everything is just a little more muted and it's coming out really pretty. So I'll look forward to getting back to that soon. Another Hands Across the Sea, and this one I am stitching with the called for DMC, which is very pretty, very colorful. And it's just a one strand of DMC over 2, and that's Mrs. Campbell, 1805, with that pretty heart border. And here is my progress on that. Thread, rogue thread. Anyway, it's got a neat little kind of a back stitchy border, and then some eyelets, but I really like that heart border. Is really pretty. It's very unusual. And that is on a piece of 40 count mushroom linen by Zweigart. The next one is a stitch along for Betsy. This is the Stupid Tumor Cell, and this is Elizabeth Adelsey by Hedgerow Stitching. And I am so close to being done with this. So that is where we are. And those were some of the called for and some DMC. Here we go. That's a little better. So, I know there's a mistake in there somewhere. Oh wow. Another birthday stitch along. This one was for Abby Bella Stitch. Her birthday stitch along wish was to have people stitch anything in the barrack realm. So either Hello from Liz Matthews or Kathy Barrack or Carriage House. They are all related, in case you didn't know. So I'm stitching Pennsylvania Pinwheel, which is still available. You can still find this. I'm stitching this on a piece of 30 count Old Salem by the Primitive Hare. And I'm actually using modified floss colors. It's the same exact colors, but I just didn't have a few of the called for. And so I substituted with, let me double check this. Yeah, so it called for NPI, that's what it was. And so instead I went with some classic colorworks that I already had in my stash. And so the three classic colors is Black Coffee, Yield Gold, and then Ruby. So this one, not sure how we'll finish it, but I love it. Isn't it cool? Love it. The next one is by Stephanie, Lindy Stitches, and this was a mystery stitch along. This is Funky Menagerie, and that's a bad printout, but lots of people have done this one, and this is where I am. So I've almost turned the corner there. And it's so cute. And I think I'll end up turning this probably into a bag, project bag or a tote or something that I can use and have with me. I just love it. I think it's so cute, and I've stuck pretty closely to the called for colors, but some of them I've swapped out or added little things like this dog right here. This little running dog. Let's see if I can get this better. I made that, so this dog right here. I made that dog in Charlie colors. So I think the dog in the chart, I think he's brown, yeah. So he's a little running Charlie dog. And I just found out that I get to go to the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit in Portland, Oregon this fall. And Stephanie is going to be one of the featured designers. So I'll be attending in person, barring unforeseen, what we shall not speak into the, get to meet her. Can't wait. Next is the Trans Pride Tapestry, and this is a collaboration between Hare and D20. Oh, that's getting real blown out. Again, my printer is pretty bad, but so instead of using solid colors, I went ahead and adapted mine so that it's a variegation. So this is also on a piece of Bee Stitch Me fabric. This is in the colorway Peony. And I am doing this with DMC 2 strands over 2 threads. And it is really, really pretty. So some fill-in work. And I think the variegation is coming out really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to end up looking on the unicorn mane. But I like how it looks on the flower petals, and so this I like this one for potentially working. We have a deck, and yesterday the weather was really nice, and so my husband and I were sitting outside, and I was trying to work on something really small, and it just isn't really realistic to set up a light or a magnifier or whatever. But this I can see because it's on a 32 count. I think is that right? Okay. 32 count. Look at that. It's so handy. It's like a life changer. And so when I'm sitting outside, I can actually see what I'm doing, and so having something to work on like this too, where it's got large blocks of color where you can just fill in, I think will be really nice. So I will likely get a fair amount of progress on that as the weather improves and I take this outside to work on it. So I love that one. I love the color combo and the artwork and all that. Okay, next. This one is the start along for Laura's birthday start. Laura's big birthday sal. This is Elizabeth Isles by the Scarlet Letter. And I am stitching this on 37 count. This is just a legacy linen. This is Russian tea cake, and I am using, okay. If you were at Stitch North, I brought this with me. And so a few people who have actually watched my video or watched videos in the past and have seen the way that the camera messes with this blue, they now can back me up, because when they saw it in person, they were like, no way, that does not look at all the way it looks on camera. This blue, this bright blue, reads so seafoam on the camera, and it's not this color. And I wouldn't be belaboring it, except for that it's so different and it looks so pretty in person. So, and not to mention the fact that, you know, there's a whole floss conversion that you can get for this project specifically at Caroline's store at Evertote. And so I'm going to put a photo in so that you can see what it actually looks like, because the photo looks correct. It just doesn't look right on camera. So, so funny. I also picked this up over the last couple weeks again. I had been doing this as a stitch along with Sam, Stitch Again Sam. And Kaylee Cross Stitch also has finished this, but it's from this Emma Congdon Cross Stitch for the Earth book. And it is pattern number 19. And it's this really cute, let's see, can you see that? There we go. So it's a whole mosaic of a bunch of different seasonal themes. And the hashtag that Sam started was seasonal earth Sal. And so I'm using the DMC. There's tons of it. Lots of DMC. Just sort of keeping it all in one spot inside this very big project bag that I made. And I'm using a 25 count even weave that I tea dyed myself a while back, and this is how big the whole thing will be when it's done. So it's over one strand over one thread on 25 count. So made more progress on that spring side of the tree and the bird and the ladybug, and this is really fun. But this was what I worked on, you know, it's Earth Day. Hello. Earth Day week. So put some stitches in that one and I'll keep working on that too. I really like it. I like all my projects. This next one is called Enchanted Alphabet, and I'm using silk that was hand dyed by Ymir, who is Almond M&Ms both on Instagram and also in her shop, Almond M&M Studio, where she hand dyes gorgeous silk. And she had an advent box for the month of December, and so I am using a large number of the silk colors that I received to stitch this alphabet. And I'm leaving out the baby in the middle. Sorry, baby. But I'm stitching this on a piece of, the color is called Gossamer. And so each letter gets its own silk color. So that variation is just the variation in each of those colors. And this is a picture this plus fabric, and so it's you can see a little better than there. It's a very light green and yellow. It does look like, kind of looks like dragonfly wings. So that's where I am on that one. The next one is a start along for D20's birthday, and they wanted, the hashtag they started was just stitch anything with a bird on it, and the hashtag was Flip D the Bird Sal. So I'm stitching Hester Van Dorn by Carriage House Samplings, and I'm using a piece of 32 count black pearl, and you can see there's a little bit of iridescence in it, and I'm using Leo and Roxy Vampish, very, very dark purple black. Hard to see, but there it is. I love that bird. Looks a little sinister. We haven't even gotten to my starts yet. Holy, this video. This is the last whip, and this is Anne Grimshaw, 1818, also by the Scarlet Letter. And I'm using Chalkboard by Leo and Roxy. Slight variegation in there. And this is on 40 count light nougat. And I've made it across the top. So we'll continue working on that. I started this, did I start this for Black Sampler November? I don't remember. But I like this very much. Unfortunately, this is one where I really have to pay attention because it is wobbly. It doesn't follow a pattern. Everything's very uneven and kind of free form, which is beautiful, but it really means that you have to count. So, all right, that is these are my starts. Oh, yikes. Okay. So the first one I started yesterday, and it was, now I say that my birthday present to myself is I allow myself some indecision. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to start, so I woke up in the morning and I just looked at what I had and looked at the floss that I had on hand and charts that I had been thinking about starting, and so I went ahead and decided to start Anna Sophia Bertram, 1871. By Hands Across the Sea. And what I like about this is the very odd flower border, the bee skip, and the peacocks. The verse, I'll customize that. We'll put something in there that's a little different. And I went ahead and used silk colors that I had on hand by approximating from the DMC conversion listed on the chart. So I'm not using the called for Auvert Soie silk. I'm using them somewhat, but I've modified it a little bit. So the piece of fabric I'm using is a piece of 46 count porcelain by Leo and Roxy, which I picked up at the retreat. And I am using this. Is the palette. Look at those pinks and purples and those greens. And this is how far I got yesterday. So, made it across the top just with one line of the border. Now, this is really interesting. This has a double border, so it's a kind of a Kelly green, and then right next to it is a line of gold, and look what it does to that green. It just really, it gives it such a different look. I love it. And then the first flower there. So it's not going to be huge, but there's still there's going to be a ton of stitching in it. But I really, really like it. So I'm happy that I chose that. And so this is what I am stitching for my birthday. And thank you to everybody who, I'm secretive about it, so most of you didn't know. But for those of you who know me, thank you for your kind birthday wishes and generosity. This I can't get it off the wall. Primitive Hare. She has released a calendar, at least the last 2 years that I've known about, probably before that too. But this is the March month. That's little rainbow pot of gold. I'm changing it a little bit and turning it into kind of like a little cauldron with a plant growing out of it. And I made a heart on the little pot instead of a nothing. But this is the coolest floss. This is a Threadworks floss. I think it's called Billy's Balloons or something Balloons. And of course I didn't write it down, but this is what it looks like. And each strand, so a lot of variegated floss will just be one continuous. Each of the strands don't necessarily have the same lengths of each color. Sometimes it's got that consistency, but sometimes it doesn't. This comes in individual strands, so every single strand you get has the same spacing. It just makes for a really consistent variegation, especially on this particular chart. And this is what drew me to it. And looking at the picture and the calendar, you could see that vertical rainbow look, and I just think it's really cool. So, Threadworks. Oh wait, I do have it in here. You know, sometimes when you outsmart yourself. So yeah, Threadworks, and it is color 11, is that 1154? 1154? Yeah. Okay, so my next one, this, I started stitching it the same night that I saw her release. So Julie, who her Flosstube channel is Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, released or reproduced a sampler and put it up for, she put it onto her Gumroad site, and it's under Hemlock. Hemlock. Start that again. Hemlock and Rye, and it's called Thurza Priscilla Dawes 1870. And I am doing the bright version, and I am also using Leo and Roxy floss. So I did my own conversion, and this is how far I've gotten so far. And this is on, let's see, can you see that? There we go. This is on a piece of 37 count brewer's malt, and that's just a legacy linen. But look how bright and fun that is. So, and again, I just, you know, I did my own conversion and then shared it with Julie, so she has it. Yeah, again, it's all Leo and Roxy, with the exception there are a few DMCs that I couldn't get to. But this, I believe this has, what did she say, 37 colors? Oi. Now, the only reason that I did, and not because I don't love them, but the only reason that I did this conversion is because I already had them. I already had everything here. And so last year I invested in purchasing pretty much every color of Leo and Roxy floss. And part of that is because I've been really enjoying doing color conversions. For whatever reason, not everybody uses silk, not everybody uses, you know, DMC, whatever. Sometimes you want to use something a little different. I happen to really like using Leo and Roxy floss because of the way it feels and the way it stitches. And so it's just been really, I mean, I feel really lucky that I have all of these, but that's what provided me with the opportunity to do this. I know that, you know, to just go out and to buy 37 colors, you know, a lot of people do that for certain charts, and they'll buy the whole kit and everything, but I know that that's not an option that everybody has. The DMC colors for this are gorgeous. It's beautiful, and this chart is very, very fun. She has, Julie not only charted it in the bright colors that were found on the back of the sampler, kind of arguably where, you know, sunlight hasn't gotten to it, and then also charted it with the more subdued aged colors, and they're both beautiful. I decided to go for wild because it's obnoxious in the best way possible, and I love it. So sometimes you just need to pull something out and stitch something loud, right? Anyway, that is Thurza Priscilla Dawes by Hemlock and Rye Stitchery by Kansas City Girl in Colorado World. Next birthday start. This one was for Ms. Gwyneth. I'm also doing a Leo and Roxy conversion for this, but I don't have all the flosses in this bag because I pulled them to do something else with. But we started up at the retreat. Started Helen Virtue 1812, which is a Scottish sampler, and that again has a really cool flower border. That really cool house. Look at those blue windows. Oh, so awesome. I love it. So this is where I am with that. And again, this is a very small, this is 46 count. And this is an unnamed Leo and Roxy, kind of a one-of-a-kind linen piece that picked up when I was up there. So it's very pretty. All right, so another one that I think you have these moments where you watch people's videos, and like Jacob had a Flosstube not too long ago, and it was a situation where it's like, see it, buy it, kit it, start it. All in like, you know, like you stop everything that you're doing and then you just do that. So I'll let you go watch his video, but essentially he found this amazing sampler in a thrift shop, and within a week had charted reframed it and released it. Like, so cool. And that is, sorry, I'm organizing here a little bit. And again, I don't know why I always do this. I'm really going to start making better printouts because it's just silly. So this is the Red Deer sampler, LFB 1788, and this is the called for DMC, right? So there's all the DMC colors. And again, I decided that I would just pull, oh, sorry, you can't see that. I would pull from my floss, and I am using this silk. So it's a little deeper in some cases, little more subdued in some cases, but I decided to do it in those silk colors. I'm trying to get this to you. So that's the red. It's a dark, kind of almost like a garnet color for the red. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count chocolate milk by XJU Designs. And there is my start. So I made it across the top border, started that first. Man, the threads. I know I'm going to go back and edit this and there's going to be threads on everything. So I think it's coming out really pretty. That's getting blown out just a little bit, but it's very soft. And I love it. Another Whilst Iris Naps. I had this stitched or kitted up for quite a while. I like to have something that I can take with me to work so that on my breaks I can, you know, just kind of tune things out a little bit and do something that's relatively simple, whether it's just a really simple sampler that doesn't involve a whole lot of counting, and even if you do make a little counting error, it's not going to be the end of the world, or that just has very straight lines or predictable letters, things that you've already stitched before. And so Agnes Lyle is kind of a perfect, that was a perfect option in my mind. And so that looks like any minute. So Agnes Lyle, 1832, pretty white house, sweet alphabet, cute peacock, nice berry bowl. I like all the things. These are the called for colors. And I don't tend to mess with Christina's color options. And this is on a piece of Wayfarer's Cloak, and that is where I am so far. This reminds me a little bit of Anne Logan. So that was another start. Now this one, I didn't get very far. But I did do some stitching on it because I was doing some color test stuff. This is by Michelle Bendy, and this is her reproduction of 1844 Lady Man. So a few stitch alongs for this. Ryan, who is Rai Magai, is doing this for his first stitch along for his birthday, which was earlier this month. So I haven't gotten very far. This is on a piece of, in fact, this is a little cut off from Betsy's birthday stitch along from Little Bird. So this is Picture This Plus Legacy. And that's as far as I've gotten on Lady Man. I think the Lady Man flosses are available in Caroline's store at Evertote. And actually, I think that she is going to start, according to one of her videos, she's going to be starting to sell Michelle's hard copy charts and I think PDFs also in the near future. So that's exciting. Yay. Another new designer, Stitchman Darcy Cameron of Flosstube fame. So Darcy has two patterns, two charts now in an Etsy shop, and he has designed those, and you should go and get them because they're great. But this one, it's called The Religion of Solitude, and that's an Aldous Huxley quote. The more powerful and original a mind, the more it will incline towards the religion of solitude. Which is a little bit counter message to what I was talking to earlier in my video about, getting together as a group and the power of being around people, but there definitely is some power in hanging out by yourself too, and recharging. So I picked up this chart, and when I saw it, I thought that maybe it needed to be a companion piece with another one that is similar. So last year I stitched this. This is a Lindy Stitches called Dracula's Confession, and this is a quote from the book. I love the shade and the shadow and would be alone with my thoughts when I may. And the color choices on this I love, and I had some of this floss still in my stash after I completed this. And so what I did is I pulled a piece of, this is on 28 count Murky Lugana, and I am stitching Darcy's Religion of Solitude on that. And so the two eventually breaking things here. If they hang out together and they're buddies, how cool will that be? So, anyway, that's where I'm at with this one. So good job, Darcy. I really, really like it. I like that crow. Or bird, whatever. Raven. He's a lurky bird. I like it. Alright, I think the last one that I have to show you is my temperature chart. And hang on. So this is by Dr. Christie's Corner Needlework. And she has an Etsy shop, and she sells a few different temperature, like temperature drink shelf and temperature bookshelf. And then I saw this one, and it's Temperature Space Invaders, and I immediately knew that I needed to get this and stitch it. Now, in my haste and excitement, what I didn't realize is that each of the little aliens represents 2 days. And if you do the instead high and low temperature for each of those, you end up with a massive chart. So I started it on Idee. I started on a piece of black Idee, and I realized very quickly that not only was I not going to have enough room just for the basic chart, I really wasn't going to have enough room if I wanted to do high and low temperature. So I pulled a different piece of fabric. Now, first of all, here's the floss. Like, how gorgeous. I'm not going to pull them all out, but it's all just DMC, and it's amazing color combination. But then I had this really cool piece of fabric that I thought would go really well with a Space Invaders theme. And this is by Bestitch Me, and this is a 40 count, and it's called It's a Mystery. So I started, and look how cute they are. Beep, 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 beep. But then again, I realized that, so those two little aliens were essentially a high and low temperature for the month of January. And I was like, okay, that means that I'm going to have like 30 little aliens, and it's going to be really broad. It's going to be really, really wide. And so I had to stop and sort of recalibrate. Like, am I just going to do like the low, the high temperature of the day and split that in half so that I just have like the correct screen size for a Space Invaders game? I don't know. So that's what I have to sort of think about. The colors aren't going to change. It's just a matter of how I'm going to, as far as the floss colors and the floss choices aren't going to change, but I have to decide if I'm going to actually do a high and a low for each day, which is what I originally had kind of thought. I just didn't count. Counting's hard. All right, that's all the stitching. That's a lot of stitching. For the most part, with the exception of a couple of the whips in the middle, I'm pretty sure that I have touched every single thing since the last time that I saw you. So even though I haven't, made videos, I've really been stitching. I, first of all, received the nicest little surprise in the mail. This is from Nancy, and I don't know if she's okay with me sharing her last name or her Instagram, but I did want to. This was up in my post office box for a very long time, like probably more than 3 weeks, because I hadn't made it up there, and then I traveled, and then I came back and I was working, and the post office box is not that far away from my house, but I really don't get there very often. And this one I hadn't seen it. So I got this the other day and immediately messaged her how much I love it and appreciate it. It came with some sweet little treats. So she sent me a Coffee Crisp bar and also a Cadbury egg chocolate bar. Both of those are gone. So, because she sent this from Canada. So again, this is from Nancy, and she made, it's a stitched postcard with a bumblebee on it. And I just love it. Look at how cute. And then it's got a little happy stitching. And look at the wings. The wings they lift, oh my gosh, it's just so cute. Look at how pretty. My exact, like, the colors, everything about it, I love. So thank you so much. This was so thoughtful and so sweet, and I so appreciate it. So over the last, month or so, I've also had a couple of little stitchy days here at my house, and Kelly, who is Minimalism in the Making is her channel, she was able to come over and stitch one day, and then Susan Stanley and Kelly stopped by and stitched, and that was really fun. But so Kelly brought me, look at this jar of buttons. So it's just a huge range. I love just sitting here and staring at all of them. So those will definitely go into projects. So Kelly, thank you. And you guys need to, I've said this before, but you need to go watch her. She has all of these great ideas for functional, really cute finishes of small pieces. Extremely creative and very funny, and her dogs are the best. So go watch her. And then Susan, when she came by, brought me, this is so cute. So first of all, she brought me some fabric, which is super cute. It's like this orange, look at the little birds on it. And I told her that the birds remind me of the artwork at the beginning of the Partridge Family. The graphics, but it's really, really cute. It's like a little bird with a pear in its mouth. And then she brought me this little, it's a little pin with a bee. How adorable is that? And this little dish. And I don't know if you can see it. It says "Be the Good." Look at how cute that is. Oh my gosh, I cannot even. Look how cute. It's got a little needle and bees and flowers, and it's this little cute vintagey. I love it. And then this is a tiny miniature bowl, and you can see it's like this little, glass bowl, little bubbles in it, that she put a tiny, can you even see that? I'm trying to see if you can. It is a tiny little hand-stitched petal pin cushion with a button in it that she put into, and there's a button on the other end so that you can put a little needle into it. It is so tiny. Look at how little that is. So thank you. So I do have one thing that I also wanted to include in plans. And that is for Kathy Purdon's birthday start along, and that is this. This is Snooty Parrot Sampler by Barbara Anna Designs, and this is her start along. And so I'm gonna select a piece of fabric, and I've got the flosses pulled, and I just don't know. I've got the project bag that I made a while back. Got the scissors. So I think she's already started. I will be starting that here in the next week or so. So that will be one more step. So that's it. I don't think she has a hashtag for her birthday, but she is on Instagram, so I'll put her name either down below or here on the side. So, all right. And I think for the stitching, that does it. So this video has been very blurry. I can see in my monitor that there have been a lot of times where it has not, so it's just going to be a little rough. I'm going to have to go in and edit out a lot of this and move things around. One last thing I wanted to show you, and then I shall say goodbye, but I have also been doing some crochet work. So you guys have been watching the progress of my granny square blanket over time. This still needs to have, it's nowhere near being done. I still have to do a few more rows, and a lot of my ends need to be sewn in. Some of you gave me some really good videos to watch for how to do like a magic knot and connect them, and I'm still kind of working on that, but I'm just sort of going with the flow for this particular blanket. But this is where we are. Let's see if I can dump my entire video thing. Anyway, it's coming out kind of cute. It's pretty big. Like it's almost, you know, it's starting to look like an actual blanket. So I love it. I like that it, I decided to go with a black border. I'm using Lori Holt's tutorial on joining granny squares. So yeah, really happy with it. And that's it. So not quite done yet, but another few rows and it'll be good to go, and the dogs will end up loving it. So anyway, it's been very nice to catch up and visit with you, and I think we are, I don't know, we're a couple hundred away from like 3,000 subscribers. If you like what you see, you know, you can always just hit the subscribe button, but that's not why I do this necessarily. But it is kind of nice to just, you know, see that you're expanding your community of people. And I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of people at StitchCon coming up here in the next month or so. I'm going to try and do another video here in the next couple weeks, because this has been way too long and this ends up just getting really overwhelming, and I feel like I'm rushing through things and I'm just rapid fire. Look at this, look at this, look at this. So hopefully next time we'll be able to sort of slow things down and just focus on a few things that maybe I've worked on. So anyway, that's it. I hope everybody is staying healthy and you know, just hug the people around you, and yeah, anyway, so thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next video. So yeah, be safe, be nice to each other, and have a happy day. Bye.